Hello. Hello, police. Yeah, what's the problem, sir? We just drove down our farm track. Yeah. Go and feed our pheasants. We come across a Range Rover with 3 people in it. Yeah. It appears that they're dead. I don't know what's happening. Blood in the motor all over them.
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. I hadn't heard a single word from Darren for nearly 3 days. When I got the phone call saying he was going to be home late because he'd been stopped by the police, I thought to myself, oh, he's been done for speeding, because he always drives like a lunatic. But then a friend of mine, Angela, came round to the house about half an hour after he had called and said that she had seen him surrounded by dozens of police with his arms behind his back and that some of the cops had guns. It was obviously more than a traffic offence, so I jumped in Angela's car and we went over to where she had last seen him. The transit van was still there, parked up on the side of the road, so I knew he'd been wheeled off somewhere, but I had no idea where. And for a while I didn't care. I got home and just sat around waiting for the raid. It was horrible. There were so many police there, at least 30 of them. They had dogs, guns, everything. Luckily Angela was still there, otherwise I might not have got through it. They went through everything for hours and hours. They know every possession I own. They emptied my entire house and threw most of it into boxes to take away with them. Some of the stuff they just kept going through again and again. I sent my sister to the school to pick up the kids so they wouldn't have to see it. The police were all very nice about it. I made them all a cup of tea, but I just had to have a proper drink. I sat there trying to blot it all out with vodka. After they'd gone, I went over to the police station, but they wouldn't let me see Darren. So I went back home and phoned. They wouldn't let me speak to him either. I tried a couple more times, but then I soon realised it was a waste of my time. Then on Thursday, just before midnight, I got a phone call. He didn't say hello, he didn't ask how I was or how the kids had been managing without him. All he asked was whether I was alone. I wasn't. Angela had been staying over. Get rid of her, he said. I'll call you back in half an hour. And that was it. He was gone again. Angela was in bed at the time, so I had to go and wake her up, tell her that Darren had called and I didn't know why, but she'd have to leave right there and then. She'd been such a huge source of strength since Darren had gone, and I felt really guilty as I pushed her out the door, but then the phone started ringing again. Sandra, do you want to be with me? What are you talking about, Darren? Do you want to be with me? Well, of course I want to be with you. Okay, just pack enough clothes for you and the kids for a couple of days, and someone will be around to pick you up. What's going on, Darren? What have you done? I can't talk now, just get yourselves ready. I've got to go. I assumed. That was my mistake. I know you should never assume anything when it comes to the police, but I just assumed they were going to take me somewhere to be with Darren. I packed up all the stuff, woke the kids and waited. Then this van turned up about 3 a.m. The kids were so tired, so dopey they didn't even really know what was going on. Neither did I. We drove to some kind of student boarding house and they put us up for the night. The guy who was driving said he couldn't say anything about anything. As soon as you see your husband, everything will be clear, he said. Yes, I replied. But when will that be? The driver didn't even look at me. I'm afraid I can't say. They woke us up at 7 a.m. the next morning and said we had to move straight away. All the students would be waking up and they didn't want anyone to know we had stayed. I was more and more confused by the second. No one was telling me anything, and I still hadn't spoken to Darren. Then they took us to some kind of safe house they use for interviewing rape victims. We stayed there all day and all night, and for the whole time I wasn't allowed outside the front door. There were police everywhere looking after us, but none of them could tell me anything about what was going on. All they'd say was, "It's down to your husband. It's down to your husband." But that wasn't any bloody good, because my husband wasn't around either. Then this tough little woman called Sue turned up at the house and said, "I'll take you to see him now." She took me down to the cells at Chelmsford Police Station, and Darren was waiting for me. I sat down. He took my hand and told me the whole story from start to finish. He told me about the night of the murder, about how he'd been giving information to Jim, about how Jack had threatened to kill him. The whole lot. I remember that at first I didn't feel anything, but the more he spoke, the more I started to shake. Then I got this sick, numb feeling inside, the kind you get when you're about to do something really scary like jump off the top board at the swimming pool. That feeling stayed with me all that night. Later they took me and the kids to another safe house and explained that I'd be able to see Darren every day. Whenever I did see him, he was always so calm, so relaxed. He kept telling me, "Don't worry, it's all going to be okay." So I believed him. I really wanted to believe him. Sue gave me the impression it was all going to be fine as well. "Don't worry," she'd say to me cheerfully. 2 weeks, you'll be back to normal. It'll be just like nothing ever happened. It was obvious she was talking bollocks. I don't know why she bothered. I really didn't like her much at all. Few, if any, of the 40 or so people who sign up on the witness protection programs in the United Kingdom each year have any idea of just what they are letting themselves in for. Although it inevitably involves a major, often traumatic change in their circumstances, the decisions almost always have to be taken in a matter of minutes, overnight at most. Although they are generally lumped together, there are in fact two distinct categories of protected witness. The first is the innocent bystander, for example the housewife who sees a gangland execution from her living room window. Should such a witness agree to give evidence, they will first be moved into a hotel, all expenses paid, and have statements taken. They will be assigned 1 or sometimes 2 police handlers whose job is to ensure their comfort and safety at all times. In the run-up to the trial, they will be asked to choose where they would like to live. If they are a homeowner, the police will arrange the purchase of a new property and the sale of the old. If they rent from the council, the police will arrange for them to move to a new area with the minimum of fuss. Until they are settled in a new job, they will be paid a salary equivalent to what they were earning prior to joining the programme, in addition to any reward. They will, of course, still be restricted from seeing their friends and families ever again, but because the crooks generally have little idea who they are or who they associate with, the danger to those around them is fairly minimal. Depending on the severity of the threat against them, such witnesses can even choose to relocate to a number of countries around the world. Witnesses are often awarded large sums from public funds, and in the case of those who inform on robberies or major thefts, they can receive tens of thousands of pounds from banks or insurance companies. When truck driver Chris Brooker was asked to drive a shipment of heroin worth $2 million into the United Kingdom, he went straight to the police. His evidence saw the gang of 3 sent to prison, and Brooker was given a new identity and rewards and payments totalling more than £80,000. When it comes to testifying in court, any jury in the land will have little difficulty understanding what an enormous sacrifice the person has made, all in the interest of justice, and their evidence will be treated with the utmost respect. They have no criminal connections, they have no ulterior motive. Even the defence barristers will shy away from attacking such a witness too harshly for fear of turning the jury against their own clients. The second category of protected witness enjoys no such privileges. They are, like Nicholls, professional criminals who turn grass because it is the only choice they have. Failure to cooperate with the police would either lead to a long prison sentence or, in the worst case scenario, certain death. The major difference between the first and second categories is that the police will never let the second, no matter how crucial their evidence, no matter how key their role in the forthcoming trial, forget that they are criminals. Rather than being kept in a hotel or a safe house, they are more likely to spend their first 3 months being moved from special prison units to police stations as they make their statements. Even a glimpse of someone they think they recognise means they will instantly be moved. Rather than being given some form of income equivalent to what you had before, you are reduced to living on benefits. The idea is that if you admit to having made some money from crime in the past, all your past earnings are tainted with the same brush. Only by reducing your income to virtually nothing can the police hope to counter any accusations of bribery or favouritism. Furthermore, in order to ensure that the subject comes across as a witness with nothing to hide, they must first confess to every single crime they have ever committed, even the crimes they were never caught for. Darren Nicholls states, "I don't know what I was expecting joining the witness protection programme. Becoming a supergrass, it all sounds quite glamorous and exciting. The truth is, it's nothing of the sort. A couple of days after I'd agreed to cooperate, I was taken out of my cell into a little interview room and had a sheet of paper shoved in front of me. I had my full name at the top and then a list of conditions I had to agree to. The first was that I had to promise to plead guilty to 3 offences: possession of 10 kilos of cannabis, supplying a firearm to a prohibited person, and conspiracy to import drugs. The gun and the conspiracy charges really pissed me off. I'd never been caught doing either, and there was no real evidence that I'd been involved at all. I was only being charged because I'd admitted it to them, but that was part of the deal. I had to admit to everything I'd ever done. Being honest meant if it all went pear-shaped, I was risking a sentence at least double what I would have got for the drugs alone. The next condition was that I had to agree to attend court and testify in all cases that involved Wome, Steele and Corey. The next paragraph was about what the police were going to do for me. I started to concentrate really hard because I was keen to find out exactly what they said. But as I started reading, I realised they weren't really saying anything at all. They promised to provide me with a new name and a new identity, and then put me back in the position I was in before my arrest. I remember I called over one of the cops and pointed to the last condition. Does that mean you're going to stick me in a battered old Jag with 10 kilos of puff in the back? He didn't find it funny. I asked about my council house. I'd been living there for 5 years and having earned a nice little discount, I was thinking of trying to buy it. Would they be able to arrange the same discount when I moved? The answer was no. OK, would they be able to help me out getting a job? The answer was maybe. It was all very vague, nothing specific. They explained that it had to be like that because if there was anything in the contract that was rock solid, it might be deemed an inducement to me testifying. So that was it. 1.5 sides of A4, a couple of signatures, and then nothing to do but start telling everything that I knew, and wait to see if I could trust them. You've been listening to Blogs 19, written by Tony Thompson. This book is available to purchase online at Amazon and other online book retailers. Many thanks for joining me for this video. Very shortly you'll be able to see some other videos from the channel, including the Essex Boys playlist, which has all of the videos concerning this case in one convenient folder. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I look forward to seeing you all again in the next video. Take care. Cheers.